Choice supported by spiritual practice. Everything we say, do, and think aligns us with darkness or light, love or grievance. Thus, everything is a spiritual practice, whether we are aware of it or not. We are constantly in every moment, aligned with one way of being or another. The choice is ours to make each moment of the day. And that was Terry Decker. And then we cannot live a choiceless life. Every day, every moment, every second, there is a choice. If it weren't so, we would not be individuals. That's Ernest Holmes. I kind of like that one.
Mm-hmm.
During the course of a day, so many things can happen, and if I have reactions to those events, the event can be anything from world-size things like the pandemic, airlifts out of Afghanistan, or shooting at the local school, to smaller things like stubbing my toe or cutting my finger during dinner, before dinner prep. In each instance, I have the ability to choose how I feel and what I'm going to do about it. The choice of emotion depends on the strength of my spiritual practice. Every day I pray whether I need or not. I meditate for the same reason, and I find myself listening deeply to coworkers, friends, and family. Deep listening for me is a spiritual practice. It takes me out of my head and puts me in the moment in this way. I'm able to be present for whoever is talking. Having a strong spiritual practice gives me the presence of mind to be present for the moment. In this way, I know what to do, when to face with when faced with the world or a personal event. In the case of the pandemic, my intuitive voice led me to be immunized. I did my part in helping to stop the spread of COVID-19. In the case of Afghanistan, I've been in deep prayer for the people in our government. In the case of school shootings, my husband and I went to the candlelight vigil to bear witness and hold the high watch to the grief of a community stricken by the death of a child. And in the case of my cut finger, request only a Band-Aid. And then the affirmation. Today, I have a spiritual practice that can handle all the events of my life.
Thank you. Okay, taking that in, let us do our opening prayer. Just resting in the presence as we breathe in and breathe out, knowing that we are constantly in circulation with the circulatory system of the universe. We are one with everything, from the grandest to the most minute. And in that space of oneness, we are powerful beyond measure. We are the rainbow on a cloudy day. We are a rainbow in each other's cloudy day. And in that space, we know that all is available to us. All we have to do is align and declare it so. So in that space, I speak my word for a wonderful class tonight, knowing that we're all receiving, sharing, giving, gifting, loving ourselves into wholeness. And as any one of us moves up that scale, moves out, expanding that toroidal field of beingness, we all get to go together. So in that space, I give thanks. I give thanks knowing that it is so. I thank God. I thank all that is. I thank the collective universal experience that we are. And I release to the law of our good, knowing that all is so, all is done, and all is well. And so it is.
So it is.
It is.
Well, why don't we check in with the order that everybody came? So why don't we start with Jan and Peter?
Well, I think we kind of talked about all of our news, and so we're just getting ready for the holidays. And
My daughter, Courtney, she's supposed to come from Texas.
so yeah, we got some company
So
coming in.
it'll be, not a big house full, but it'll be better than last year. So we're looking forward to that.
So great.
So is her family coming with her?
Well, her husband is in Germany right now. He's on,
Oh.
what do they call it, Peter?
He got deployed.
Yeah, and he's in Germany.
I
So
see.
she's there in Texas by herself. And at first she said she didn't think she was going to be able to get time off, but then she was able to. And so she'll be coming home for Christmas. So that's good.
Great. What day does she come in?
On New Year's, Christmas
Christmas Eve.
Eve. Christmas
Okay,
Eve.
well, tell her hi from me.
Okay.
I will.
Okay, and Glenda, you were the next one coming on, so.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm sort of in a little bit of a shock. We just received news that our good friend in Albuquerque passed yesterday quite unexpectedly, and I was counting up, and they've been very good friends for 50 years. They-
Wow.
Ones we were going to go visit in October when we had to cancel our plans with Marvin's health. So I've just been kind of reeling a little bit. I was planning to come in, but I wasn't in an emotional state to get there, and I was running late, and I figured I'm safer just staying here. So
Hmm.
I don't
Now,
know.
Glenda, is he the one that came to visit us?
No, that's Don Jacks
Uh-huh.
Cafe, but it's not Don. It's not Don. It's another good friend from Puerto Rico.
Oh,
You're frozen, Jan, but I think you can probably hear.
okay,
Maybe not. I don't know.
okay.
Didn't your children
Is
go
that
to school
true?
with their children?
Yeah, where our kids went to school together. In fact, Janet was engaged to their son for a while.
Mhm.
So our families have been very close through the years.
Yeah.
So sorry, Glenda.
Yeah,
Thank
but,
you.
thank you for
Thank
being
you.
with us, and,
Oh, yeah.
we're sending our love to you and Marvin, you and the family.
Thank you. Have to be with my family.
Yes, yes, well, we appreciate that. Yeah. Jerica?
Well, I shared so much last week that I don't have anything to share this week. I'm just curious about how you all are doing. So pretty much uneventful this week. So just happy to be here.
Well, great, glad you're here. Karen?
Yeah, I have experienced, I have been working on my story, and it will be coming out very soon, my life story in a book form. And I've been doing that. And I've been working on other projects and also the things that, that I create, my cell pockets and things like that. But the most that I've been doing is writing and music. So I'm looking forward to the things that are coming forward, and hopefully you all will too. And my health has been pretty good. I had a slight cold, but other than that, I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Renee?
Oh, that's me. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I had the pleasure of meeting meeting again, Karen's grandson yesterday, and enjoyed spending time with him. And maybe we'll spend some more time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm off next week, so.
Are you,
Okay.
okay.
Yes, so maybe we could spend more time together, but I'm doing all right. I have a little pain in the back, but that's better than a pain in the wherever else, but yeah.
Mhm.
But I went to the doctor today concerning blood work that I had done, and that was good. Everything's in good order,
Good.
so I'm happy about that. Right. Okay.
Well, good.
Audrey, I have something else I
Yes,
wanted.
Glenda.
I talked with Karen Robinson today. Some
Oh,
remember
Oh,
Karen.
Yes.
And she's in Mobile undergoing cancer treatment.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
no.
She has had to drop out of some of the chemo because it was too harsh for her, but she's
Yeah.
a new regime next week. And the doctor said that if she didn't take this cancer, she had 6 more months. And if she did take it, she might have a year. So her
Oh,
expiration date looks like it's coming pretty. So, but she's in pretty good spirits, and she's in close contact with all of her family. So she's
okay.
been supported.
is she
Okay.
in the hospital right now or staying at her
No.
son's?
She's still at her son's.
Okay, good.
Okay. Okay.
And the same phone number, the same mobile number is still working.
Okay, I'll give her a call.
Well,
I
thank
know
you,
she'll like
Glenda.
that. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to report that I'm doing well. Yesterday seemed to be a major turnaround for me. And so I woke up and I felt like, oh, I'm back in my body. And the body was better, you know. So yeah, so I feel good. I'm still going slow. I'm trying not to do what I can typically do and get right back in going too fast. And so I'm slowing things down, which is a good time. That's in alignment with this time of year as we're coming to this, into that period of where we're seeing the light begin to fade as we start a new spin around the sun. So all is well, and lots of ideas, and just working on some things in the background that might benefit us all. So all is well, all is good. Good. Okay. Okay. So I think where we left off was on page 55. I was thinking we could start back on 54 and come forward, a constant broadcast. I thought that had a lot of good, it's a good place to begin. And so if somebody would like
can
to start,
I'll
Karen, you
start,
said,
yeah.
okay.
A constant broadcast. Because we are connected energetically to everyone and everything, we contribute to everyone and everything. When we cease broadcasting fear and more fear, we can become a positive contribution to the places and people we share our life with. This creates somewhat of a snowball effect. When someone who participates in a group constantly expresses fear, they impact the group experience, just as someone participating in a group with ease and grace impacts the group. Every time we heal a fear or a pain, we continue our journey to becoming a person of increase because our broadcast is transformed. This personal growth work is not just for us or to make our lives better. The better, fearless self we can be is inspirational to others and is good for the world. A divine partnership. We began to see a synchronicity emerge. The truth is that synchronicity is part of living, even when we are living from fear. Our partnership with the divine is active, whether we are using it to play small or play big. When we are living from fear, it is as if we are a match for our brain and our life to show us proof that we should keep being afraid. Conversely, choosing to be free of fear, flu, and instead embrace faith means that our brains and our lives begin to show us proof about how we can remain fearless. It can literally feel like a partnership or magic, yet it is how life works. Try it out. I dare you. Excuse me.
Any comment on those two sections?
You know, I was thinking about that, those last two paragraphs that Karen read, and there's a part in our brain called the reticular activating system, and helps us to see more of what we're looking for. So it's an actual scientifically based principle that if we're looking for things to be afraid of, we find them. And if we're looking for things to have faith in, we find that. So something that's scientifically based.
You know, I was thinking about that this week, Glenda. Well, actually, for a couple of weeks now, just about what world are we creating right now? There's certainly a lot of fear, anxiety, chaos, you know, all that kind of stuff. But there's also an amazing amount of great things that are happening. I mean, when I just look at commercials, for instance, I see multiple cultures listed, you know, showing up through the individuals who are in the commercials. I see a more cross relationship among races and cultures. And I've never seen that before. So I feel that not only there, but technology is allowing access of sharing of information, creativity, all of that. And people are communicating around the world together. I mean, you know, you get on a call and you've got people from, you know, could be in any country or any group of people. So I think that the negative gets more, of course, that's fed on. Media is, and marketing is tremendously adept at that. And I feel that, you know, it's so important for us to be mindful of our thoughts and catching a thought before it gets expressed when we can, to shift from the negative to the positive, or, you know, or even just shifting our awareness, right? You know, as I was healing, you know, there were times that it was, you know, I was in a lot of pain and I had the choice to give into the pain or look at with gratitude at everything else that was renewing me as a result of what I've been through. So, and Karen, of course, is a constant reminder, you don't feel any pain, get up. No, not quite, but anyway, you know, but she would really call me on it. You know, what are you giving into? You giving into the pain, or are you giving into the celebration that you don't have all these other symptoms happening in your body right now? So those kinds of things, I think this is an incredible time, and that we are on a constant broadcast. And Glenda, you know, that part of the brain that I can't remember that you mentioned.
Reticular activating system, RAS.
Yes.
RAS.
Okay. And so that brings us to the point, we are who we think we are, or we are who we speak we are, and just something to be mindful of. So I love that section. Okay, would somebody like to pick up at fearless living?
I will.
Jan,
Go
you
ahead, Jan.
Jan, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
There is a foundation of trust and faith in oneself and life in general that emerges when we lead ourselves repeatedly back to an embrace of our true source. This is different than just thinking about it. Living this way requires a profound and habitual conscious choice to enter the divine realm of our consciousness and lay our fears and concerns on the altar of oneness. Fear may still emerge or become triggered, of course, but who we become and how we react in the midst of fear changes forever. Should I continue?
Sure.
Fears that matter. Once again, if we are in a situation that is dangerous to our safety, fear is appropriate and helpful to propel us forward. If we are being physically hurt or abused in any way, if we are participating in acts that could harm our body or health, if there is a truck headed right for us, the launch of fear can save our lives. The more we embody our oneness, the more we can begin to experience what might be a precognitive kind of fear that warns us not to drive a certain street or to get on that plane or to go off with that stranger. Over the years, I have learned to trust my intuition. I am obedient to that little inner voice, the gut reaction that encourages me to go left now as I drive. It is the same voice I use to manage my fear. Flying on airplanes brings on bouts of fear flu for many people. Some literally will not fly out of such a fear. They don't travel or go to their dream destinations because the plane might crash. As I grow older, I am obedient to the little inner voice, because if it ever tells me not to get on a plane, I won't. But I am careful also to distinguish between the centered part of me that speaks from my depth and my fear voice. Being in touch with my highest self and learning, and leaning into the synchronicity of life help me recognize the difference.
Has anyone had experiences that kind of make you shake your head on that one?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think I might have already told you all this, that the time that I had car trouble and a man stopped to offer help, and I just knew he was safe. So I got in the car with him and rode to the next stop to get some help there. And my mother just had a fit, but I said, Mother, I wouldn't have gotten in the car with him if it wasn't safe. I really felt that. I really felt that voice that she was talking about, and that it was okay. It never occurred to me that I wouldn't be okay. But I also have had times, I remember once getting into an elevator or starting to, and this man was there about to get on with me, and I didn't feel good, and I just hopped off real quick. And you never know, but I know that we do have an intuitive guide that will tell us when to be safe and when to be careful.
Yeah, one of, I remember a long time ago, before I even moved to this part of the country, I remember thinking, because I was so in tune to being fearless, because I had so much God in me and I was so filled with spirit, that, I'm just this, I'm just this light that's just flying around out here all by myself. So here I am in Chicago, on the worst side of the city that I could be on, walking by myself, 12 o'clock midnight. Not a good thing to do, but I thought I was just safe. And all of a sudden, these guys came, and I just knew it. These guys came up behind me, grabbed my purse, knocked me down, and kept going. Well, inside, my spirit was letting me know, sometimes you have to have intuition, sometimes you have to have good sense. You can't just rely on that spirit that just carries you and helps you to do all the things that you do while you're at home in your room. This is a real world we live in. So there are things out there that we have to be aware of. And this is the way spirit was able to work with me during that time, to teach me that even though there is within us that will say to us, okay, you better not walk by yourself, take a bus, catch a cab, do something. But I wasn't hearing that voice, because there was a little louder voice saying, oh, you got this, you can do this. And, so it's just ways of being taught through spirit how to, maneuver and go through life. And it's gotten me far, this far, and I'm grateful for it. Yeah. Wow.
Right. I kind of see the vaccination problem in the same realm. I don't think it's fearful to get a vaccination. I think it's wisdom. And some people see it otherwise, but I think the intuitive thing and it's like wearing a seatbelt. I don't feel that I'm afraid when I wear a seatbelt. I feel it's just being cautious and being wise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with you in that, Glenda, because I look at things, it's like we know that if we're not doing the right thing at the right time, then Spirit is there to help us and to guide us and to protect us and to keep us, So sometimes it's wise just it's good for us to do the right thing, or not the right thing, but a wise thing, okay? Simply because this is what we're thinking and this is what we're bringing to it. We're not bringing fear to it. We're bringing wisdom to it. And that's the way I see it.
I do too, Karen.
Yeah.
Would anyone like to pick up on fears of the unknown?
I guess I will,
Okay,
Audrey.
thank you, Jerica.
Fears of the unknown. Often we cling to fear as we approach a situation with many unknowns. Yet if we reflect on our days, we begin to see that we walk forward into the unknown more than the known every single day. Even though we may venture into familiar environments and relationships every day of our lives, we never know exactly what will be said. There will be elements we cannot predict about the encounters we have. When we begin to see and embrace this reality, we can make peace with our obsession about the unknown and even begin to appreciate it. Fears we imagine. If our imagination takes off on us like an out of the control horse, we must begin to see that we hold on to the reins of that horse. Our imagination is ours and we can stop it, change it, shift it at will. It is not something that controls us, we control it. Only if we surrender control will we find ourselves headed down a path we prefer not to head down. Just being able to stop and say to ourselves, whoa, where is that fear coming from? Can allow us to begin to open up our awareness and start the healing journey back to courage and faith.
Mm. Yeah. So plugging into our power. If your worst fear came true right now, what is the worst that could happen? If the worst that could happen happened, how might it impact you? Look right at it and see if, even though the worst case you can imagine might be frustrating, inconvenient, unpleasant, yet could you survive and thrive again, even if it happened?
I think about all those people going through the tornadoes.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
What fear that must be.
Mhm. Mhm.
And how would you look at that? Am I going to survive this? Will I thrive again if I lose everything I have? And
Yeah.
it must be a real challenge to have that faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess what brings me the most fear is losing people close to me, because I'm very relationship oriented, and to think about losing people that are close to me is really something I have to work with. And to me, that would be more than just frustrating, inconvenient, or unpleasant. To me,
Yeah.
devastating.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's my biggest fear too, Glenda. So I can relate with you on that one.
Exactly. I agree on that. I don't know what's the worst fear, but I think right now, being aware of some of my elder friends who, quite a few, have passed in the last year and a half, 2 years, for different reasons. It's just being aware that of that, and what does that mean, and how do you live into that and hold on to the positive aspects of what we can bring to the world. I mean, those kind of thoughts that I haven't really thought about before, but I don't know, you know, we've lost quite a few elders in the last few weeks. So yeah, the idea of death and loss, it's much more than an inconvenience, as you say, Glenda. It's much more than that. It's a piece. I feel like it's a piece of all of us that shifts and moves with this ebb and flow of life. And so I don't have any answers for it, you know, just more, I guess just sitting with it and being with it is what I feel.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, to my friend just before class, who had just lost her husband yesterday, was very heart-wrenching.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, I've been listening to Gary Zukov,
Mhm.
and he talks a lot about death and being on this earth school, you know, being in this earth school and leaving the earth school and going to the spiritual realm, and how the people that are still left here, you know, can understand that they were here for a reason. They were here to teach us lessons, you know, and the way he explains it all, and he tells you to be aware of your physical being as you're feeling this grief, you know,
Mhm.
and fears of losing your loved one, and replacing fear with love. You know, he said there's only the two. There's either fear or love, you know, it's one or the other.
Mhm.
So he worked with a family that just lost a 4-year-old child, a 4-day-old child.
Oh.
And yeah, and he worked with them on that, and it was just beautiful the way he looks at the universe and Mother Earthship and all that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Which book are you reading, Jerica?
I'm reading not the Seed of the
Seed of the
Soul,
Soul.
but
Yeah.
not the Seed of the next one, the love. Gosh, I don't know. It's on my Kindle.
Yeah.
It's okay. You can tell
Yeah.
me later.
Yeah, I'll tell you later, but it's a beautiful book, and he's got all kinds of exercises to do with the fear-based beliefs.
Mhm.
Yeah. It goes a lot along with this book, you know.
Oh, great.
So
Yeah, one of the ways that Spirit has showed me quite some time ago how to see and look at all of this is that when we began to lose the different ones that were, you know, very close to us, Spirit would say, well, what's happening is they're going on the other side to help us with what's happening down here where we are right now. So it's like we join together with Spirit and they join together with us. And then they were more, how would I put that? They're more able to help us there than they are to help us here.
yes,
The form that
that's
they were in here, they were not too much good to us because they
Right.
were, you know, feeble and different things were happening to them. But in the spirit realm, they're warriors and they're strong and they can do
Yes.
everything to help us
Yes.
heal what we're dealing with. So it made me
Right.
feel a lot better about them being on the other side because the other side must be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's
And the
beautiful.
book is called The Heart of the Soul.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The Heart of the Soul. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so number 2 question here was take a deep breath. Let me hear you. And sense the wisest part of your deepest self. How does this part of you think you could and should approach or deal with this fear or with your fear? And I think we've heard some various possibilities there in just the conversations that we've had so far. And, you know, I think sometimes that taking pause to take a deep breath and center allows us to access something bigger than our fear. Of course, sometimes when you're in the midst of the storm, it may not feel like it. I remember when I was in Hawaii and we were on the walk and it looked like one of the walkers and I were going to drown. We were barely, we got to the point we didn't have any energy to try to keep ourselves afloat. And McCoy and Karen, actually, I think McCoy came out, but they finally
send him
realized
over.
Karen said, wait a minute, something's not right. And then she sent McCoy over to help us, and he realized then that we were struggling. But the point I wanted to make with that is that there was a point where we were struggling and pushing each other through the current. We got stuck in the current and an undertow at the same time. So the minute we would come to the surface, a wave would knock us back down, and then we were stuck in the undertow. And but I remember the time when no matter where we were in this process, Shondell and I were looking at each other and we were saying, well, we got each other, we got each other, and we're not leaving each other. So, we just got to keep trying. And then they got to a point where we just knew we didn't have any more. And we knew that we just surrendered. It was just this collective, we were having a conversation and things got very peaceful. And it was almost like at that point, whatever was the next step was going to be the next step. So it was like in that moment, just on the very edge, it was as though we surrendered and let go of the fear completely. And next thing we knew, there was McCoy reaching out, and he was able to pull us in out of the undertow. So that was a profound experience for me, in the sense of just being that close to the edge of life, and then being pulled back, So I don't know why I said all that. I guess I was thinking about that when we were having the conversation, and that deep breath, at the end, what could have been our last breath, became our next breath, to live on. And that certainly teaches something deep within about survival.
So we owe Makua a great debt of gratitude for
Yes.
saving you so that you're with us, because
Yeah.
we wouldn't have been able to experience you otherwise. Thank you, Makua.
Yeah, yes. You remember that, huh?
Like it was yesterday.
You saved my life.
Hey,
You and
amen.
Karen. Yeah, thank you.
Hallelujah.
Any other comment before we move on to the white light cells? So our last chapter. And I want to invite you, I think we'll definitely have time to get through this. I would like to send a letter. In fact, I'm going to send a letter to Reverend Michelle to let her know how much we enjoyed this. If you have any personal comment you'd like to email me or text me that I can include in that, I'd be grateful to receive that from you. I'll include that in the letter, and because I think it's been a really good journey.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Renee, would you like to start us off?
Yes, ma'am.
This chapter.
Okay, white blood cells, excuse me, white blood cells only account for 1% of our blood. Yet they have a huge impact on how our bodies function. They protect us from illness and diseases as they rush in to help destroy any harmful substances. When we have made a practice out of bathing our awareness in high ideas based in ease, grace, and light, our consciousness becomes inoculated against the fear virus. We become immune to the world's insistence that we live in fear. Our lives become empowered. We begin to create more and more of what we want and less of what we don't want. Okay. Practices of light. We might imagine that the challenges of fear are so large that we would have to sit on our prayer mats chanting mantras all day, every day, to transform our experiences. This imagining can be an excuse to do nothing, in which case our lives would remain just as they were. Yet, like the white blood cells that make up a small portion of our blood and have a huge impact on our health, we can make a huge difference with daily disciplines that take a brief amount of time and have an outsized and lasting impact. This impact can affect our entire being as we find ourselves less focused on fear and its triggers and more able to live from courage.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Read on.
Yeah, sure. Any
Okay.
comments on that? So either of those two sections?
It's reassuring to know that as we practice more, we get stronger. I mean, we know this. It's just a nice reminder that that's the reason we have our spiritual practices, so that we are stronger with whatever comes up,
Yeah,
able to handle whatever happens.
that's right.
Mhm.
You know, and it really does come down to that, doesn't it? When we're centered in our spiritual practices consistently. And and you know, it's interesting when you do it, when you're doing it consistently over a period of time, and then you stop, there's such a difference in how you are in the world. I know how I am in the world. And then I'm like, why did I stop? You know, and then I want to get back on, get back on my spiritual bicycle again and start working out. But spiritual practices, Glenda, as you said, are so critical to helping us to know what's real and what's not real,
Right.
or what's true and not true.
Mhm.
And even being able to know what to put out in the world, you know? Yeah.
I was reading one time about somebody who was practicing a musical instrument, and he said, if I miss a day of practice, I notice it. But if I miss several days, other people notice it.
Mhm.
I think
Mm,
it's probably the same with our spiritual practice.
yeah. Yeah. Wow. Mm. Mm. I wonder if that has to do with the power of our imagination too, because it seems like when we're really in that zone of being consistent with our spiritual practice, we're able to access, like this, maybe our imaginary cells are activated, or ignited. And in that space, I think we create the music, the art, the passion, all of that, the love that can change the world.
Mhm.
Okay, forgive. Who would like to? Peter, you haven't read in a minute. Would you like to pick up on 63 under forgive?
Forgive. Every faith tradition teaches forgiveness. Forgiveness frees us. We can truly forgive the harm, hurt, betrayal, or teachings of dysfunctional ways of living. We free ourselves to return to our original programming of courage and faith. Each time we move through forgiveness, we unearth the hold of fear. Speak truth. When our fears remain secret, they fester in our hearts, souls, and consciousness. On discovering a trustworthy source with whom we speak our truth about what we fear and why we fear it, a new opportunity emerges for partnership and freedom. This trust source might be our best friend, counselor, coach, or family member. Amazing opportunities to feel heard, seen, and supported emerge with such sharing. Courage and faith are restored. Meditate. Research about the
Peter, hold
benefits.
on one second. I have a
Okay.
question that I'd like to ask and speak truth. And Glenda, or anybody who has a thought on this, speaking truth is not as easy as just saying, okay, today I'm going through the day and I'm only speaking truth. I think that truth, that can be very challenging. And I just wanted to take a minute to talk about that, because sometimes you can speak truth, but you can also speak truth in a way that it brings about anger or frustration or conflict. And sometimes and that isn't your intention, but I think that can often shut us down. Any thoughts on that about speaking truth?
Well, I like the part which she says, when we find a trustworthy source with whom to speak the truth. If I have a problem, I don't go to someone who's going to dramatize it or make
Right.
it bigger. I go to a trusted source, someone whom I know is grounded and will help me through it. And then I can tell what I'm really feeling, because they will help me to be in that truth and not be engulfed by it or, pulled under by it.
Mhm.
That's what I interpreted, a trustworthy source.
Thanks, Glenda. Jerica, were you getting ready to say something as well?
Well, I was just thinking that if we speak truth with the intentions of love, then that should take care of that. That should take care of the hurt or pain or anything else that the truth might bring. If it's done with love, I think the intention of love.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
But I agree with that, speaking the truth with a trusted source, because like Glenda said, if you speak the truth to just anyone, like I'll give an example. I'm trying to be truthful with love with my sister that I'm reconnecting with. And it's a real challenge because of the trust issue, So I speak the truth as I know it, and I try to do it with love instead of like years before I would do it with judgment,
Mhm.
and not caring if it hurts someone or not.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
Well, I was even along the lines of truth as I think about honest is just as well as being of speaking the truth, and and I think if you have the combination of both, you're I feel you're kind of doing the right thing in your life then.
I used to work with this girl from India, and she would speak her truth, her honesty. If she thought you were ugly, she would tell you. And I would tell her, I said, I appreciate your honesty, but there's a word called tact. And you might want to look that up.
Yeah.
Because she was being honest, and I don't think her intentions were to hurt anyone, but she was just brutally honest.
Yeah.
So
That could be a cultural thing too, Jerica, because
I'm sure it was. Yeah.
there were some Indians that lived around me when I was in college, and they would ask you direct, like questions like about your money.
Yes.
And I thought,
Yes.
I don't know that I wouldn't just go to you and say, how much money do you bring in from your
Right,
retirement or what? I just
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. But it was, for them, it was okay to.
Yeah, it's a matter of training. I'm sure of that. Yeah, but my sister had acne really bad, so she had all these pock marks. I mean, deep holes in her face. And the Indian girl said to her, "How come you have all those holes in your face?" And
Well,
my
and
sister said, "I sleep on a bed of nails."
oh, well, that was a good response. That was a good response. But a lot of times I'm surprised at how people are so direct.
They are.
They may be honest, but like you say, it's not coming from love. That you would say, if I ask her about this, it might hurt her feelings, or she might be sensitive about this.
Yeah.
I
think it's a matter of training. She just wasn't trained to do that, to be that way. So it was all okay. It just, people had to kind of shut her down.
Cultural
With her-
differences make a big difference. If
Yeah.
ever, Japanese people will sometimes giggle about something because they feel embarrassed, but it doesn't always jive with the situation. And so sometimes there'll be a laughter at a moment when it feels rude or something. So a lot of it is just cultural. We just are growing up in cultures and different things are accepted as norm in some places and not in others.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a real gift of that for us, the world and through different communities and staying in communities, was we got to see, how, you know, it was so funny, you know, that you all are saying this, because when we first started out, we thought we knew everything. Well, not really, but I mean, you know, we felt like we had we knew what we were doing, so to speak. But, you know, a few months in, you throw all that out, because every culture, every community, every group of people, if you see the differences, it gets in the way of the relationship. So
Sure.
we had to learn to let go of our perception, and our way may not be the right way. You know, it was a great learning for being able to realize that there's so many different ways that people are living and expressing. And rather than feel, you know, there are a couple of times in the beginning I would be like, wait a minute, but just creating an allowing space for expression brought about an opportunity to go deeper in the relationship, whereas before I might have shut it off. And
Right.
I just wanted to end with one of the comments that stayed with me a long time. I have a friend who is an amazing actress, and we were doing a production off Broadway, and there was a little dispute that happened, and she turns to me in her very stately way and she says, you know, there's always a loving way to say exactly what you need to say. And I've never forgotten that, you know. Yeah.
I probably got way off base with the speaking the truth thing, but I was just thinking she was speaking her truth, you know, and she was being honest, but I don't think she did it to be, you know, cruel or mean or anything like that.
Yeah, no, that was all of this was really good. I mean, we get to see ourselves through everything that we share, and you know, all the comments that we have, it gives us a great canvas to, you know, to create from. So thank you all for being so open throughout this whole book.
Yeah.
Renee, did you have something you wanted to say? Your box lit up, so I don't know if that was just
No,
your aura or if you had something you wanted to share.
No.
Nothing? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay, Peter, if you want to continue with meditate, and then Karen, did you want to pick up after Karen? I mean, mediate. No, meditate. That's right.
Meditate.
Meditate. Research about the benefits of meditation demonstrates that these benefits show up in every realm of life from those who meditate regularly. Healing the fear flu with meditation exposes us to a perception of our true source of power. This aspect of self, often called the higher self, soul, or essence, guides us profoundly. To be in touch with it allows us to unlock the secrets to our own healing pathway.
Inoculating our consciousness. The whole goal of inoculations is to protect us from the experience of disease, as well as to prevent us from being a carrier of that disease. While there is a lot of controversy and even fear about inoculations for our body, the idea of it for our awareness is a great metaphor. When we enter into practices of light on a regular basis, we begin to be immune to fear. We cease being a carrier of the virus into our thoughts, relationships, bodies, workplaces, locations, and homes. We become a healthy cell in the body of the universe. Fasting from fear. As with all new endeavors we undertake, we must consciously choose to let go of the old and embrace the new. A choice to cease feeding our fear must emerge in the order for us to be successful. We might see this as a fast or a diet from a way of being, thinking and feeling that no longer serves us. As fear emerges, we can take a deep breath and remind ourselves that we are fasting from fear just for this week, or this day, or this hour. All healing takes self-awareness and self-direction. Managing our mind. Becoming present to the shenanigans of our mind cultivates self-awareness. Otherwise, our mind can take off thinking like a freight train jumping the tracks. We can end up in places we don't want to be. Using cues, timers, journals, or moments of reflecting our thoughts, powerful in awakening to our thought tendencies. We must learn not to believe everything we think.
Just finish that.
Okay, managing our mouth. Our thoughts and words are the building blocks of our lives. Paying attention to how many times we tell ourselves or another to be afraid serves us in ending that pattern. Ending that pattern allows us to find ways to speak that are uplifting. Managing how often we share about the scary things we see, experience, or feel concerned about can be life-changing. What we say shows us what we are focused on. What we are focused on becomes our experience.
Any comments?
That was very meaty, that part that Karen just read.
Yeah.
So some of the spiritual practices showing up like meditation, fasting, so managing our mind and our mouth. I would say being aware of what's on our mind and what's coming out, trying to seek out of our mouth is
Right.
I like the metaphor that she pointed out, the parallel between being using an immunization to inoculate ourselves in our body, that our immunity in the realm of thought and spirit comes from our spiritual practices. And the more we practice, the stronger our immune system becomes. I like that metaphor.
right. Linda, do you want to pick up with a life that works for everyone?
Sure, a life that works for everyone, including me. The idea of creating a life that works for everyone is the major intention of the Centers for Spiritual Living. This notion creates a range of responses, from positive feelings to criticism to discussion. This big and broad idea can only come into reality when fear is no longer at the core of our experience as human beings. Creating a world that works for everyone supposes that there's a way we can all live our best lives, and that if that came true, there would be a pervasive harmony. Arguing with this idea as a possibility is one way our fear speaks, as we wonder if the life someone else wants might infringe on our life negatively. Fear is not working for us. If focusing on fear truly worked, our planet would be in a much better place. Habitual fear does not make us happier, healthier, or even safer. Habitual fear makes us more afraid, less happy, less healthy, and causes us to make poor choices. The deeper power within us provides our safe place. Learning to access and rely on this makes our life truly safe. My healthy life. Inoculating and insulating ourselves from habitual fear may feel foreign and strange at first, just as when we start a new way of eating or exercise or any other endeavor feels foreign at first. These new ways of being ultimately bring us greater health and well-being, as does fearless living. We find ourselves able to meet the challenges we face with calm and assurance. We solve problems, deal with concerns, and meet challenges from a profoundly confident place. True solutions of ease, grace, and peace emerge. I want for me, I want for you. As this new way of living seeps into our daily life and the benefits of it manifest, we may find we want this way of life for all beings. Imagine a world of calm and confident beings living in calm and confidence about their ability to meet the challenges and problems of their lives. With fear decreasing dramatically, force, violence, and most of the things we fear can fall away. Issues of our world, individually and collectively, can be dealt with in a space of reverence and respect. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. John Lennon.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Imagine that, indeed. In the interest of time and in completing the book, I'd like to just read the last couple of pages, 4 pages. The end of fear, small steps. Throughout this book, there have been various personal stories and stories of others about transcending fear. At the end of each paragraph are questions designed to help explore where and how fear may impact daily living. Moving beyond unnecessary fear often happens in small steps, taken one at a time. Rarely does anyone just decide to stop being afraid. That decision comes after a whole new mindset is built to replace previous fear-based thoughts and ideas. To shift any habit or mindset requires attention and intention. This is under building blocks. Just as a person who wants to improve health would begin with changing their habits with regards to their body, those who wish to change the level of their fear must make some new choices around their habits of mind and often actions. Each change becomes a building block that contributes to the whole experience of life. The process can take time, effort, and awareness, yet the benefits to our individual life and our contribution to humanity is profound and well worth it if we wish to end the legacy of fear-based living. Suggestions for new habits. There are a number of steps we can take to begin to build a more courageous life. Creating an affirmation to say repeatedly that can help in daily life or when fear rises can be extremely powerful. The affirmation I created around earthquakes changed my life dramatically and continues to be a vital part of my own fear management. Getting prayer support can help us feel connected and not so alone in our fear. Finding a faith tradition or having friends who will include us in their prayers can be a powerful way to let the fear go. Knowing we are not alone and knowing someone sees us clearly in the challenge we face and is willing to affirm and support us in making the change we desire, these feed our courageous hearts. Getting help from professionals can be important. If we have fear that debilitates us, we can get help. There are therapists, counselors, phobia and fear specialists who have expertise to help us get beyond our fears. We can share our needs with people and get recommendations, or we can use the power of the internet to find experts. Incorporating other ideas from this book can support the release of fear. Creating a courage journal. Oh, I like that. Creating a courage journal, researching stories of people who have gotten beyond the fears we have, and other ideas suggested can be great companions to us in our embrace of greater courage. One last thought. Let us remember that everyone faces fears. To feel fear or have fear about conditions or situations does not make us weak. It makes us human. When we have fear and then criticize ourselves or shame ourselves, we are not helping ourselves in any way to move beyond it. Such an approach actually anchors us in greater fear. When we can remember this and be gentle and kind to ourselves as we deal with our fears, we have a much greater chance of actually shifting away from fear and moving into a thriving state of being. Each fear transformed empowers us to deal with any others already present or that show up. Indeed, having fear in certain areas can indicate that we care, that we want to do well, that we want to live more fully. Be gentle and lovingly move beyond the fears that may have stopped you in the past.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Good.
great.
Great
Yeah.
book.
That is really great.
Yes. Ah.
So back on page 70,
Mhm.
those two, questions, I like that second one, identify a fear or two that after reading this book, you plan to work on healing. That's a challenging thought for us to take out of this class tonight.
Yes.
Hmm.
Mhm.
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 Yeah. And I think that, the whole concept of fear doesn't make us weak. And often we get blocked by our fears because we're afraid if we acknowledge them or speak them that we're weak, or, we don't have the confidence or whatever. It just kind of makes us feel small. But actually, it makes us human. It makes us human. We're
Being
all-
willing to be vulnerable and admit our fears is strength and courage.
Yes.
That's right. Makes us stronger.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, wow, what did you think?
I liked it.
I really liked it. Yes.
It was a good book.
Yeah, good, good. I invite you all, if you have a comment or something you would like for me to include in the letter to Reverend Michelle, thanking her for coming in at the beginning, and Glenda, thanks for coordinating that on our behalf. But for her to be so willing, I thought for a minute she was going to forget that she had another event and hang out with us for a while. So I was really grateful for her time and attention to get us off on the right start. It's certainly a kind of book that you can keep around, just,
Yeah.
yeah. And Jerica, how do you like the book that you're reading with Gary now? You find that's a good study book?
Oh, I don't know about a study book because there's a lot of practices that you have to be in a meditation sort of state.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm
Okay.
not sure about that, but
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
sure
Well, if
is.
anyone, go
It's
ahead.
making me so aware of,
Wow.
that
Amazing.
that I'm just loving it. Yeah.
Great, great. Well, if anyone has, I would like to put an invitation out to anyone who's read something or is reading something that you think would be a great book. I'd like to keep us going with our book choices. I have one that we're going to start with beginning in January. It's another short book, but powerful book. You'll be getting more information on that in our e-blast. We'll be picking up after the 8th, so that following Wednesday, but you'll get all of that information, and we'll be getting those books ordered so that they'll be available. But I'd like to keep us moving forward on our reading. So if you have something you really like, if you want to make a recommendation, just let me know, and we can review that. There have been discussions about maybe bringing doing some more work with Eric Butterworth. There were some requests for revisiting 12 Powers. some of the fundamental things out of unity. So again, thank you so much. And is there anything you'd like to say in closing before we begin our prayer?
Will we be having class for the next few weeks?
No. The 22nd.
When do we come back?
We'll come back the first Wednesday after the 8th. I don't have, I'll give you that date. I think it's either the 12th or the 13th. Let me just verify that on my calendar.
Monday is the 10th of January.
So it's the 12th. The 12th of January, we'll resume our book study, and you'll be getting information about the book that we'll be using, okay?
Okay.
Okay. It'll be in next week's e-blast.
Okay.
Okay, and for anyone who's interested, we're going to be doing visioning boards on the 8th around 1 o'clock. And we can do that on Zoom, or we can do it here at the center. So if you're interested, just let me know about that as well. Okay.
I'm interested, and I know Annie Mac wants to participate.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Then maybe we can talk about making sure we can do it virtually as well as in-house.
She probably wants to come in, but
That would be great.
tell you, she can let you know.
Okay. All right. All right. Glenda, would you do the prayer tonight?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Who has a prayer request?
I do, Glenda.
Yes.
My cousin Mike for health, healing, and comfort.
Okay.
And Peter's sister Teresa also for health, healing, and comfort.
All right. Anyone else?
For me, Glenda, for health. And yeah, for health. Mhm.
Okay.
Highest-
Thank you.
And the highest.
Erica?
Yes,
Health
for
and highest
Highest
best.
and best. Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Jerica?
for Jeff Whitman, my brother, for healing and comfort.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, and I'm going to include my sister-in-law, Vicky, and my brother, Frank, who's been having sciatica pain, and my friend Janice, who lost her husband yesterday.
Oh.
Anyone else?
I'd like to also put myself on the list for continued healing and restoration. And I'd also like to put on the list many of our friends who were very much influenced and grew up with Bell Hooks. She made her transition today.
What's her name?
Bell Hooks.
Bell Hook.
Hook, H-O-O-K.
Okay.
Mhm.
Bell Hook's friends and family.
Yes.
Okay.
And for the cease of this COVID.
Okay. Deceased. Okay. And I'm going to put Marvin on the list too for healing. Strength mostly. Okay. Anything else?
Oh, I do have one other, in the same vein as Bell Hooks. Malidoma Somé made his transition. I think it was yesterday or day before.
Oh, wow.
So Malidoma
Hmm.
Somé.
I'm going to need some help with that. Melanoma and what's
Somé.
That's what I mean.
Sume.
Mhm.
Melanoma Sume. Do I have it?
Yes. Mhm.
Very good. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Sure. Anything?
Yeah,
Nakua, do you have any requests? Okay, what, Audrey?
No, I didn't say.
oh, I did.
Yes.
For Donna Long,
Yes.
enjoyable travels to Michigan. She leaves Sunday, I believe.
Okay.
Thank you for asking, Glenda. I'd like to actually add my partner Ishel's 3 sons. for health, healing, and comfort. Yeah.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Michelle's 3 sons.
Yeah.
Or
Shows 3
tell me,
sons,
tell me the request again.
please.
For healing, health, and comfort for my 3 boys.
Right. Okay, we will take care of that for you. So nice to have you with us, Michelle.
Thank you.
Okay, are we feeling complete with that? Okay, very good. All right, as we just become still and focus our awareness within, that place within that knows who it is, that knows its oneness with all that is, and that is calm and peaceful and serene and secure because it knows the truth. It knows the truth about our connection with oneness that never wavers, that never changes, that we're never forsaken by that connection. We're here celebrating that and rejoicing in that and spreading the word among ourselves and the gospel of truth out into the world through the Spiritual Enrichment Center, that there's a power and a presence that's greater than we are, that loves us and cares about us and knows us and is responsive to us. I know that this is the solace within us at all times and through every situation going on in our lives. It is what moves us forward, moves us beyond any human doubts or fears or concerns into that place of remembering oneness. And so it's through this awareness of our connection. I speak my word right now for Mike and Teresa for healing, health, and comfort, along with Jan, who has spoken this request and who is reaching out in her heart to know the truth for her beloved ones. I'm grateful that we're able to support Mike, Teresa, and Jan through this request for health, healing, and comfort. And we know for our beloved Karen that the health within her is radiant and alive. It is actively moving in every part of her body, mind, and spirit. And the very highest and best good is always unfolding for her. This is the truth we know and accept and claim and allow in Karen's experience. And for Jerica, for her brother, Jeff Whitman, I know healing, health, and comfort for Jeff also, and peace for Jerica as she has brought Jeff's name into our prayer circle. I know that all things are working together for Jeff's highest good. And I speak my word for health and healing and well-being for Frank and for Vicky as they are recovering from their ailments, surgery, and back discomfort, and their relationship is soothed and healed and invigorated with great expressions of love and well-being. I also know from my friend Janice Prescott that her heart is soothed and comforted and strengthened as she goes through the days, the weeks, the time ahead of her, knowing that the great love that she and Denny shared is ever and always present in her memory and experience. And for my beloved Marvin, I know for Marvin that he is invigorated with strength and health and well-being. He is finding new wholeness in every way, every day. And I'm grateful. And for Audrey, we are so grateful that Audrey is having a successful healing experience, that her body is in a new place with health and wholeness and vitality, that she is moving forward, claiming that health that we know is vibrantly hers. We are grateful for her complete restoration to well-being on all levels, and grateful that she has made that choice and decision to slow down and allow that healing to just catch up with her and overtake her and be the forward movement of energy in her life. And for her beloveds, Bell Hook, for Bell Hook's friends and family, and also for Melodoma Sume, for all those who are loved and nurtured and cared for by Bell and Melodoma. I know that their hearts are comforted and in great peace as they go forward with the knowledge that their beloved is still with them, as Karen so beautifully described earlier, working from the other side because they can do more there now for us. So I bless this whole experience and all of those involved. And for Ishel, I speak my word for her 3 beloved sons, knowing that they are filled with health and wholeness and healing and comfort, everything they need for peace and well-being on every level is in their experience right now. Every person who is with them is surrounding them with the healing energy of love, and all is well in their experience. And for Donna Long, I speak my word for an enjoyable trip to Michigan to be with her family in the days and week or so ahead of time during the holiday season. And along with Karen, we speak our word for the complete eradication of the COVID virus and all of the discomfort and loss and grief that it has caused. May every soul be comforted and soothed, and every body be healed, and the virus go back to the nothingness from which it came. And we celebrate with Peter and Jan for their neighbor and friend who is coming home soon after getting excellent care and recovering. We are so grateful. Thank you, Spirit. I know that this same power of health and well-being is always circulating in our lives, and we claim it and allow it now. And so it is in deep gratitude. My cup of thanksgiving is running over as I see the evidence of the presence and power of the divine at work in our lives in so many, many ways. And I now release these words into the law of mind that knows how to transform these words and intentions into a manifestation that we will all recognize and know and celebrate. Thank you, Spirit. I let go and let it be. And so it is. Amen.
Amen.
So it is.
So it is.
And so it
Thank
is.
you.
Thank you, Glenda.
Thank you
Thank you.
all.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Love you.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
you.
everybody. See you next time.
All right.
Okay.
We'll be in touch.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Happy holidays.
Yes, happy holidays.
Christmas, so I don't see you before, but some of you I will. But Merry Christmas to you and all of your loved ones, Makua.
Thank you so much.
And Linda, our love is with
Received and
you
reflected.
and Marvin.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it. I feel that.
All right. Peace.
Okay. Peace and love.
Bye. Peace. Bye.